Hello everybody, my name is Sniping is Fun, and I welcome you all back to the next video present to all of you here on YouTube. And it's not going to be a Smash Brothers one. I'm going to get back to those really shortly. I've been taking the break the last week doing videos in general, really, because I'm busy with work and whatnot, but more Smash Bros. Videos are coming. Not just talking about newcomer ideas for Smash Bros. Ultimate, but I'm going to be getting into talking about like stages and items like I've been saying for a while now. And I'm going to be talking about Smash Brothers topics as well. Like back when I did Smash Brothers 4 discussion type stuff, I talked about, is Roy really needed in the game? Is Mewtwo demanded? Is this item, is these costume ideas, or whatever, this, like topics. Like, is this true or is this not? Should this happen? Should this not? Smash Brothers discussions are coming up really shortly. Quite frankly, I think I'm going to record one of them after I record this video. But to the matter at hand, this is not a Smash Brothers video, and you should be able to tell, hopefully, whenever I change the thumbnail in the name of the video, it is a RWBY video. So all you RWBY fans out there, sorry I haven't done a video in a long time since my Volume 6 predictions, and I'm hoping to still do, because the volume doesn't start till the mid-end of October. I still have some time to possibly do a how would I do Volume 6 thing. I'm still hoping to do that, and just to let you know, theories, predictions, speculations, those are coming back really shortly. I have one or two in my mind, and within the coming weeks, like 2 to 3 weeks, I'm hoping to have at least one or two of them up. So all you RWBY fans, I'm back to doing some RWBY videos, but this video has nothing to do with that. No speculation, no predictions, no nothing. It's just a discussion topic I kind of wanted to talk about for a while. I've talked about on various RWBY groups online, like in discussions on YouTube videos and especially in Facebook groups and whatnot, but I kind of wanted to do a video of it on my own, and I kind of wanted to give my thoughts on my own so I could verbally express my opinions on this. And it is the RWBY problem really such a problem? And if you're asking me what the heck am I talking about, what am I meaning, if you have been in any RWBY fandom, any community online, Twitter or Facebook or any website, YouTube, anything online, you've probably heard all the negative, commentary from certain fans trying to, give some flack to Rooster Teeth for how RWBY has really been done the last couple of volumes and some of the problems they see and the issues and this and that and rushing this and not talking about that and holding off this and animation that and, the death of Monty and how that's affected the show and everything. And it's just like, if you see, like, there are certain fans in the RWBY, fandom that obviously are taking offense and taking issues with how the show is being done and like certain things that have been, taken in the series and stuff like that. And it's like, you see the fans that, obviously are super fanboyish and they'll never admit to any problems. And you see the ones that find all the problems, and you see the ones in the middle who are like normal fans and they go both ways and they can go both ways and still be a fan. So really the RWBY problem, is it really such a problem? And if you've been paying attention to this video and my opinion on this, really, you probably should know my stance on it. And really, I don't think so. I think a lot of RWBY fans are jumping the gun on the type of hate they have for the show now, a lot of the problems they're finding in the show now. And I think they're jumping the gun, they're rushing things, and they're taking stuff at face value rather than hoping that it can be fixed later on. Because remember, people, this series is only going on Volume 6. The 6th season of RWBY is coming out in a couple months, and it's only 6 seasons, and they're only about a small way into the story. If you really look at what, has happened so far since the beginning of RWBY, since the red, white, black, and yellow trailers many years ago, and since Volume 1 started the actual series, you've seen what stories they've actually done, what stories have taken place, and where the story is going, and what story elements they may eventually tackle. This series has a good chunk of seasons still really left in it. And I think trying to, just picture it as like, these problems that are now are going to affect the series in the long run, really is jumping the gun. Like, we're only going on Volume 6. I see the series going for about 12 to 15 volumes, because that's the amount of story they could do to go to, Vacuo and Atlas and go back to Beacon, which they're probably likely going to do anyways, fighting Salem, all the other forces, all the story with the Schnee family and the Silver Eyes and Summer and Team Stark and all that stuff. There's a lot of stuff for them to tackle. This series has gone on for a while, and people are kind of rushing it. People are jumping to conclusions on certain things that they've done. Okay, before I get any further and talk about this, let's jump back a bit. A bit. Okay, Volumes 1 through 3 came out. The first two volumes were done during the time Monty Oum was still alive, and then fans were uncertain if Volume 3 and onward were going to be done, and they would. And people love, like, there's a lot of fans out there that love Volumes 1 through 3. Quite frankly, I love them too. I love all the series, but let's just get on to the topic here. But then once Volume 4 and 5 started, they changed the art style and certain story elements and done. There's obviously been a lot of backlash from fans, a lot of picking out little problems from fans. And I'm not saying it's perfect. Some of the problems they pick out actually are kind of problems, and I would like to see Rooster Teeth iron out some of this stuff going into future volumes. It's not like the show is perfect. It sure as hell isn't, and it wasn't even back in the days when Monty was still doing the show, still alive in Volume 1 and 2. But it's not like the show completely dropped in quality once he died and once they went on to Volumes 4 and 5. A lot of the problems people pick with Volume 4 and 5 is it's too slow, they're too talking, the action scenes aren't the same, which they aren't because they're done by different people, so obviously they are a little bit different, although some of the fight scenes in Volumes 4 and 5 were pretty darn close to Monty's fight scenes, the likes of the Tyrion fight and Ilya versus Sun and stuff like that were pretty damn close. And some of those in-between trailers they do in between seasons, in between volumes, like the recent one with Khan and Adam, that trailer that just recently came out a couple days ago, yeah, that was pretty freaking good too. But people are like, oh, the fight scenes don't look the same. They're talking too much. It's going too slow. This or that. And they're doing this story elements. And it's too much about, Ruby's the main character, but they're talking about Jean and all these other characters and the story elements they did and the stuff at Haven and this and that and how they're treating Raven and how they're treating Adam, the death of, the death of Cinder, and stuff like that. All these different elements, people are finding little things to bicker about and complain about and so on and so forth. And it's like, just let the show go. You be fans and just let it, play out, because there's certain story elements that they're doing now that need time to grow. One of the major ones I find complaints about, one of the major ones I hear about, is that they're not tackling the topic of the Silver Eyes. People think immediately after Volume 3 they would be Ruby would be getting her silver eyes and doing this and that and learning how to do that. But you have to take into account where the story actually went post Volume 3. The Fall of Beacon, Ruby and crew are going to Mistral. They're going to Haven. They know that the school is going to be attacked like Beacon. They don't want their Fall of Beacon situation. There are more important things than Ruby learning how to use her eyes. Stuff like that. So they wanted to get to, they want to stop it. They had no idea about the whole Salem thing yet. Crow was following them, then they learn about Salem, learn about all this stuff, and her followers like Tyrion chasing them and stuff like that. And then they get caught up in the whole Ren situation with his village and the Knuckleave and stuff like that, and then they beat it. They team up and beat it, which a lot of people don't really like that fight. I think it worked out fairly well. But a lot of people don't like how simply they actually beat him. But really, I didn't think the Knuckleave was that big of a threat anyways, just people, all the huntsmen that were fighting it over the years were probably just not using tactics to actually win. A lot of them were like, oh, let's just attack it, and they weren't being strategy. I think the whole point of it is it's not impossible to beat. It's just that the strategies these people have used have never worked, and they probably weren't all that strong fighters anyways. And Jean and Ruby and Ren and Nora kind of just strategized and used a plan to outsmart it and kill it. And he got his revenge for his family and whatnot. And then obviously, the whole story for Ruby in Volume 4 was to get to Haven, to get to Mistro, to warn, Professor Lionheart about the whole situation, which now you know about the end of Volume 4, about the fact that he's working with Salem in Volume 5, blah, blah, blah. But, that was the whole point of Ruby's story in Volume 4. It has nothing to do with the Silver Eyes, and I don't think they're going to tackle those Silver Eyes just yet, and I have no problem with that. Because it doesn't fit into the story, because when you try to push too much and mush too much into a story, it gets convoluted. It gets too much sometimes. You have to span things out. You have to let things grow. And the whole Silver Eyes thing is something we should be tackling in a later volume, not now. The Silver Eyes thing should be later on, when it's close to beating Salem time, close to end of series time. Because really, in my opinion, what I think the whole Silver Eyes thing is leading up to is people are wondering why she's not learning about it now. I think it's because she needs a teacher that actually has Silver Eyes. And Ozpin knows that, Crow knows that, and that's why they haven't been telling her anything about it. because they don't know. They're not Silver Eyes people. They can't train her in something that they don't have. They can teach her stuff, but the whole major point, once they got to Haven and knew about the possible situation of an attack on the school, was train these students to fight and to defend themselves. That's in battle. That's in using your scythe weapons and all that stuff. Learning how to fight, and obviously for Jean awaken his semblance and whatnot, which they did sort of get started on that. He's starting to get there, people. He's starting to get that. But it's like, I'm just tired of people trying to throw everything in there. Just let things grow and just let things gradually come. Obviously, Monty had the story written out, at least to a certain extent. Obviously, Rooster Teeth knows this, and they're trying to follow his plans as much as they possibly can, while trying to make some changes here and there to make things probably make more sense. Because Monty was more of an animator; he was more of making things cool. He wasn't really so much the story element writing person. So they're probably trying to fine tune what ideas he had written out. So, but just let things grow. The Silver Eye thing will come into effect, probably volume 7 or 8 or 9, maybe even volume 6. It's going to come eventually. It's just not coming now because the whole important point of volumes 4 and 5 were to get to Haven and fight off Salem's forces. Get to Haven and defend Haven. That's it. That was what the main thing for RWBY was. Weiss's main story was trying to get out of Atlas in volume 4. Volume 5, she wanted to just get away, and then she ends up meeting with RWBY and whatnot, and then it leads her after going back to Atlas in volume 6. Woo, get away from my house, get away from my home, get away from Atlas, now I have to go back. And Blake, she was running, she thought she was at fault. That whole volume 4 thing was like, and people like that. There are people in the world. People are like, oh, but she had those issues in volumes 1 through 3, and she has them again. Like, she doesn't have character development, but yes, she does. She was with her friends in volumes 1 through 3. She got away from Adam. She got away from the White Fang. She tried to change her life around in volumes 1 through 3, going and, hiding her faunus stuff, ears and her traits, and trying to, pass off as a human, go to Beacon and whatnot. And it came back to bite her. And then she now feels she's at fault for Yang losing her arm and blah, blah, blah. And that was the whole point of her running away, going back home. Sun talks her into going back again. They learn about the whole White Fang situation at Haven. And that leads Blake and Sun to get back into the story of RWBY and Weiss and whatnot. And Yang's trying to find her mother. They use the teleporting portal. That's basically the whole scene in volume 4 was basically her just trying to get over her depression of losing her arm. And then she gets trained by her dad. She goes out. She goes after Raven to get to go to RWBY, which we know about from volume 5. And then they're all back together now at the end of volume 5. It's like you have to let things grow. And obviously volume 4 was going to be a slower volume. After the fall of Beacon, after something that monumental, you can't just have fight scene, and just continue going forward. You have to have a slowdown period. Give us more story. And first and foremost, there really wasn't a whole lot of story in early RWBY. And that's kind of why we're getting a whole lot of it now, because the first 2 volumes really didn't give us too much besides, Weiss and Blake's issues over the White Fang and her coming out as a faunus. Jean being bullied by, Cardin, and, stuff like that, and stuff with, Torchwick and whatnot. That's basically volume 1's big main story, and the trials and just the team coming together. And volume 2 really didn't have too much story besides obviously the dance scene, Cinder and whatnot invading the school, which was a build up to volume 3 and stuff like that. It's like things have to build up, but we're getting so much story now because the earlier volumes didn't have too much story to begin with, and this world has so much story to it. The world of Remnant, and we need to see it grow, but you have to have the story elements, the talking parts alongside the fight scenes, and they're starting to get that more. Back then it was mostly just action, look cool, and have a little bit of story. Now it's action, look cool, balanced with the story and building up these characters, and they are building them up. They aren't just going with the flow and just I can't it annoys me when fans are like that. You're trying to jump the gun. You're trying to push too much into too little a space. Oh, here's a volume. Volumes are usually about, 12 to 14 episodes. Seasons are about 12 to 14 episodes. You have to tell a specific story for that season, for that volume. Don't just try throwing everything in there that could be used for a later run. Span it out, because we're going to have RWBY for a while. This series is so freaking popular. It's still going on. Like I said, I feel it's going to be about 12 to 15 volumes. If Rooster Teeth is continuing Red versus Blue since the mid to late 2000s, RWBY is going to continue for a while too. RWBY is freaking popular, and there's a lot of story left to tell, and it's more of a dedicated story series than what Red vs. Blue really is. Although Red vs. Blue has kind of gotten to a very dedicated series too. It started off more comedy oriented, and they're starting to put a lot more action and storytelling and whatnot into it. in later seasons. But like, people, just take the time. I mean, you can have problems. Like I said, the fight scenes did get hurt once, Monty was, gone from the series. And that even isn't back in Volume 3. And a lot of people cherish Volume 3 as being the best volume. And I think so too. I think it is so far still the best volume. But it hurt that volume too. And it hurt since then, but they've been gradually picking it back up. And they have animators that can do it. They're not on Genlock. A lot of people think that all the good, animators are going to go to Genlock. I don't think so. They're going to still keep good, animators. And they've probably hired people to be on RWBY. It's been gradually getting better, and it's getting back into the territory of the action scenes of the early series. But now it has to be balanced out with story and character development, which for a series like this, you need. You need to focus on the characters, focus on the story, focus on how the characters develop in the story, and the world develops in the story, and the whole overarching thing. It can't just be about one thing or another, and you can't just jam-pack everything into a certain volume. People, it's like, just let this, wait for Volume 6. That comes out in October. Watch Volume 6 and then make a judgment then. That at least a couple of volumes post the Fall of Beacon, post, what you have issues with for the series, and just give Rooster Teeth feedback, but don't just bicker and say, you did this wrong, this should be told about this, because you have to, for a story that's as grand as what RWBY seems to be, it's going to have to be told in increments and storyline elements, which is basically what the volumes are, the seasons are. And they can't just rectify everything all at once. And I know people are having issues with certain characters and how they're being told about them. But like I said, before I even get started, I want to quickly talk about the Adam situation. He did not get, destroyed. He did not, this edgelord, high power, he's a tough fighter status, did not get destroyed from him being beaten by Blake. And I put beaten in quotations. Like people immediately assume like he just was made to look like a fool and was weak. He is a strong fighter. He can really fight well. You see that in the Black trailer. You see that in flashbacks during, Volume 3 when he's still with Blake. You see that in this recent trailer with Khan. Leading up to Volume 6, he knows how to fight. He's a really good fighter. He can kick your ass. He is that good. But he is hot-tempered, and he can make mistakes. He had such a high, mindset about himself after the Fall of Beacon. We obviously see he has, anger management issues. That obviously, seeing that Blake survived the whole thing at Menagerie, obviously, screwed, him up mentally there. He's like, what the hell, you survived? And then he got caught off guard. He didn't bring a whole lot of fondness with him, white family members with him, because it's not another freaking Beacon. Beacon had a bunch of students there, teachers, and a bunch of people there, so they had to bring a larger army. They had Cinder's forces, blah, 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 Grimm and whatnot. But Lionheart took away the students from the school. He took away the teachers from the school. The school was empty. The only opposition they almost assumed was going to happen was going to be RWBY's group, which would have been handled by Cinder's group. Obviously, that leaves Adam to be like, I'm going to only take a certain amount of my soldiers, and we're going to go blow up the tower. Obviously, that didn't happen. People were assuming he brought too little people. There's a storyline reason for why he brought so little people, and there's a storyline reason for why he's beaten. He's not beaten for good. He's obviously going to come back. He knows how to fight, and I think more likely now he's going to go to Salem and fight alongside her, specifically. Even if he isn't agreeing on her mission, he's going to try to seek power from her to get revenge on Blake and whatnot. That's how it pretty much is, but they did not neuter the character and kill him off and destroy him. So on and so forth, yada. That's the Adam situation. I'm going on a little too long now, but like I said, the RWBY problem really isn't such a problem as it is fans jumping the gun and assuming that they can write better than Rooster Teeth, which, to be fair, some things they probably can. I probably can write a couple of things better than Rooster Teeth, but obviously Rooster Teeth knows what they want to do, and in certain circumstances, most likely, more often than not, they know what they're doing and they can write better than us. But just let the series go and gradually get to Volume 6, 7, 8 and see where it goes from now. It's only a couple of volumes post where you think the series dropped, and it's going to take a while for them to get to what they want to get to. It's going to take a while to get to the storyline elements you want to see. You want to learn more about Summer, as do I. It's not important right now. Learn about Mrs. Schnee. Learn about the Schnee backstory and the family, and Whitley and why he is the way he is, which is one of my discussions and theories I'm going to be coming up with. About the Silver Eyes, about Team Stark, about this or that, and yada yada yada, and just where Salem comes from, what happened to Cinder. She's obviously not dead, people. They wouldn't kill her this early. She's been important since the end credits of Volume 1. She's not going to die to Raven. She's either going to be dead to Ruby or Jean. She's not dead yet. They're going to write her back in somehow. They just wrote her out for the Atlas story. That's how I see it. But come on, people. We're all fans of RWBY. We all love the characters in the story and the whatnot. We love RWBY Chibi and the trailers in between the volumes and whatnot. And the appearance in Blaze Blue, and hopefully more video games and more merchandise and everything. And we want this series to continue. We want to see a clear conclusion, but we have to wait. We have to have patience. We have to have patience because you're all jumping the gun right now, and all the stuff you're complaining about will either see rectified in future volumes or revealed and told about in future volumes. So just have patience, please. I'm looking forward to Volume 6. I like Volumes 4 and 5. I don't really think the series dropped after Volume 3. Not in the way that people are making it seem to be. I still think Volume 3 is the pinnacle of the series, but I would not say Volumes 4 and 5 are crap and Volumes 1 and 2, yes, I cherish them. Because quite frankly, I do kind of put at least the stories of Volumes 4 and 5 probably over Volumes 1 and 2, at least for the most part, because there really isn't that much story in them. But there is for these latest two and going forward. So, RWBY fans, enjoy the show. Keep going forward and watch more RWBY, I guess. I don't know. Volume 6 is almost here, and I'm hoping to see more of the story going forward. That's it. My name is Sniper's Fun. Peace. Please subscribe if you want to. Have a lovely day, and see you all in future RWBY videos and other YouTube videos I plan on doing. But like I said, RWBY fans, I'm back to doing some RWBY videos and theories and predictions and speculations coming. Maybe how I would do Volume 6 one, but it's not going to be like last year where I did like a multi-video and in-depth thing. I might just do a quick one like I did, like my predictions of it and stuff like that. More RWBY videos are coming, so RWBY people who have subscribed to me for RWBY fans, I'm sorry I've kept you in the dark so long. Smash has kind of overtaken my life because I speculate that like crazy. If you watch my videos back in Smash 4, I did a whole heck of a lot for like 3 years. So stay tuned, especially when Smash Ultimate comes out in December. My channel will be free for pretty much a lot of other videos on YouTube and more content and more things to talk about. So see you all later. Bye.